Hi there, friends. Before we dive in, we want to let you know something important. While this podcast does feature a marriage and family therapist, we are not your therapist. This is a space for informational and educational purposes only. We're here to have a deep conversation over coffee. If you find yourself feeling stuck or overwhelmed, we encourage you to reach out to a trusted therapist, counselor, coach in your area who can give you personalized support you deserve. Because let's be real, life is way too hard to go at it alone, and your emotions are way too valuable to ignore. Okay, now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's get to the good stuff. The connection codes has ruined so many TV shows and movies for me. I find myself yelling at the screen. So this week I was watching Real Housewives of Orange County, like one of my guilty pleasures. And the wife is sitting here crying because her son is going through an eating disorder, like something really painful. And the husband is like, "You're just too much for me." And then she comes on the screen and says, "I just wish he could hear my emotions sometimes." Like she literally said the words.
Wow.
I wish he would just validate my experience. And I'm just yelling at the screen, "Ooh, the girl, ooh, her." And I realized in that moment, that is what vulnerability and safety looks like. For him to not be safe for her and telling her like, "Nope, don't be vulnerable here." And so today we're talking about vulnerability and safety. Because while I'm watching it on my screen, we're all living it every single day. And so how do the two correlate with each other? Do they even connect at any point? And how do we get them as a part of our daily lives? So that is where we are headed today. Let's dive in. Does the vulnerability come first or does the safety come first? What does the safety look like with the vulnerability? If I share vulnerably with someone and they resist my energy and then I feel pain from it.
Hello, world.
Hi, friends. Wow. Well, you got me totally distracted when you started talking about yelling at TV shows or movies because it is just in the last couple of weeks, a friend sent me, I guess, a clip from a movie that's coming out. So she had gone to the movies and saw this preview, or is that what it's called? Preview of a movie coming out. And she said, "Oh my word, this is what life is like without connection codes." And then she gave me the clip or whatever. And it is interesting how you can see the world differently or how your body reacts, right, to that. And I thought it was funny. We were having lunch together, the three of us, and talking about life and our day. And all of a sudden, Tera just freaks out. Freaks out. And I'm like, what? And a friend of hers.
A friend of mine?
Yeah. Wasn't it a friend that told you
the
big
yes.
news?
Okay.
So she got a text message from a friend that told her the big news of the day. I'm sure you've all already heard about it. Taylor Swift is engaged.
Officially
engaged. It's the news. It's out there. And Glenn's first reaction is...
I don't remember. Oh, who's Taylor Swift? No, I don't know. What did I say?
Oh, my word.
Yes. I said, is she going to do foundations?
She's got, they have to do.
Okay, I missed that. Yeah.
They have to do the connection codes on any level, right? Like the masterclass, read the book.
Because we want them to stay together.
Right. Because, we can all get excited about whoever, but we also know how real it is that really famous people lose each other just like the rest of us. Like, they don't have the right tools just because they're famous. Right. And so it was just interesting, like your reaction of joy, and then Glenn immediately goes to the, somebody reach out to them. Like, I think he told you to, Tera, like reach out to them, send messages.
I'll just text her real quick.
Right. Endless messages. Like, learn these tools before you get married. And, and I think we do have such reactions now because when you find something that works, you want to share it with the world. Yeah. And talking about, though, the vulnerability part of it all and where that leads. But I know my story. I was at a really, really young age taught to be quiet, not vulnerable. Like, don't really say ow when you feel pain. Don't tell anyone what's really happening with you. And wow. I mean, just that alone leads you down
Mm.
a horrible
Oh.
path in life where you can be in really abusive situations and you don't tell anyone because you're taught to be quiet.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is a really good topic because for many of us, like myself, I was not taught to be vulnerable. I was taught to be quiet and to hold it all inside and to smile anyway. So, yeah, lead us down this path.
Well, I'm curious first because I just don't know the show. Are the Real Housewives, are they connection coders?
No.
Okay.
I was actually really tempted to reach out to this woman, like slide into her DMs over and over
Right,
again.
right.
Because while I cannot reach Taylor Swift,
Hmm.
maybe a Real Housewife I can.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it was so painful to watch that happen and know that those are real emotions. This
Yep,
isn't just
Yep.
a fiction movie that I watch all the
Yep.
time, but this is people's homes. They're experiencing they're barely missing each other.
Yeah,
But that bare miss is creating massive,
yeah.
like she's saying, I don't know if we can stay married
Mm.
in this
Wow.
because of the lack of safety she
Yeah,
felt.
and as you convey, the maddening part is that you just happen to know the tools. It's not because you're better than anybody else. You just found the tools, and you found this thing called a hammer that works better than a rock. Trying to get a nail into a board with a rock, and you keep missing. You smash your thumb because it's hard to control it. And you may smash your thumb with a hammer too, but not nearly as much. And it's so much more efficient. And you know this. So it's just so frustrating. You see it and you're like, this could have been an amazing, beautiful connecting moment. And instead it's a really, really sad miss. And I remember, and this is back when Phyllis was running her company, so I don't fault her for this, but I can remember as I'm first discovering the connection codes, and I harassed her to death about it because we would see so many scenarios, movies or real life, whatever, and I'd be like, that's an identity issue. And Phyllis is not even paying attention, but she heard me say it so much, she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, that's identity. This little 8-year-old got lit up because he didn't feel seen, heard, and valued, and now he's losing his mind, and the parent is correcting the behavior, which you're in public, I don't know what you do, but that's not the problem. The problem was what happened before that, and I assume you remember some of those because I was just relentless because I was so excited about discovering this and just learning it, just realizing that, so that's what's happening there. This one, whoever, doesn't feel safe to share vulnerably, so it's all a stunt double. It's all it's a facade, and they're never going to connect. They're never going to find each other, not because they're bad people, but because they don't have the tools to do it. And that's, as we say so many times, that's what has lit us up and keeps us so passionate about all this, because we've found exactly what you're talking about, where you see this show and you're like, hello, no, it's a TV show, but you're like, let me knock on your door, and just real simple, take 20 seconds. You have an incredible opportunity. It's, one of our protocols, every emotion is an opportunity to connect or not, and most people do the or not. So, the scene you're describing was an opportunity for them to connect, and they missed it.
I want to slow your words down right there because you said it kind of fast, that every emotion is the opportunity to connect or not. And that's not the protocol we're talking about today, but it's so important that we recognize that, because that's a moment of vulnerability.
Yeah.
If someone is showing you an emotion, they are being vulnerable. It is vulnerable to share what's happening inside of our bodies. And so to take that as an opportunity to connect, that changes everything. And so, Phyllis, I'm glad that you opened by sharing your life story. I know so many people connect to your story. And I think the three of us actually share similar of my dad also said, stop crying, girl, I'll give you something to cry about. And we were taught to be quiet, to not show. I still had emotion, but I was shamed for it. I'm too sensitive. I'm too girly. And so I know the three of us, we're 3 out of 3 people in this room that were taught not to be vulnerable. So I would imagine the majority of our community, out of 1,000 people that are listening today, that at least 990 of them were also taught to not be vulnerable. And so what does vulnerability even have to do with safety? Like, how do they react?
Before I answer that, while I'm thinking of it, I think we've talked about the reel that's gone around where the mom would read a sentence like that. Can we find that link
Yeah.
to it? Because it's so powerful and it's so amazing to watch these kids get it all wrong.
Well, it's a describe for people what's in the reel.
Well, like the mom would say, you stop your crying, or
I'll give you a hug.
yeah,
I'll be the kid.
Yeah, and then the kid fills in the blanks. And these kids have no concept of you stop your crying or I'll give you something to cry about. Whatever, this little 6-year-old, this 8-year-old, that didn't even exist in their universe. And I think, thank goodness, that's just amazing. Because, the 100% in this room, it'd be really cool if that didn't exist in our vocabulary. And that made no sense to us, but it does. It's like, oh yeah, I lived that. I know exactly what that means.
Okay, so for my sake and for the sake of our community that's listening, slow us down and go back to what you started the first minute of this podcast. The protocol that we're talking about is
that vulnerability breeds safety. Like, vulnerability is what creates safety, but we need safety to create vulnerability.
okay. I think we should repeat this multiple times because to me, what you're saying right now is like Greek, like Latin, like what for most of us, because it doesn't even make sense to say it takes vulnerability to lead to safety and it takes safety to lead to vulnerability. Like, it's almost kind of like, I don't even understand what you're saying for most of us. And I think about even just now talking to a young woman. She was talking to me about her engagement and planning the wedding or something. And her fiance had their first bump over where the venue was going to be. And she was just trying to get, quote unquote, get over it. And just like, she thought of it as, I guess I just need to go along with whatever he says. And I'm thinking, y'all aren't even married yet, and you're like goo-goo-eyed, over the moon in love, and yet what you're talking about is not being vulnerable. Oh my goodness, I said a lot to her in the reaction of, this is the moment. You have to be vulnerable and say how much pain you're in and all the hurt you're feeling, because how can you go into marriage not having vulnerability and safety?
Yeah.
But most of us, we went into marriage without vulnerability and safety because we didn't know anything about it. Like, it wasn't that we intentionally decided to exit off. We didn't even know that that was a thing. And I think that for many of us, it starts with realizing, oh yeah, I don't know how to be vulnerable. I was taught the opposite. So then you have to kind of tune in to yourself and realize, I think I got it all wrong because no one ever led me. No one taught me. That's when you, to me, go into even just core level anger about, man, society, your parents, your community, your grandparents, like wherever you look and you go, you didn't teach me this. Matter of fact, you taught me the opposite. I know that they weren't taught either. Like,
Right.
I get that.
Yep.
But you're allowed to dig into that and go, what the heck? I don't even understand the verbiage of what today's podcast is about because I don't know what safety feels like and I don't know what vulnerability is. So I think we have to slow down and really dissect this because what does it feel like? What does safety feel like? And what does vulnerability look like?
Yeah,
Like,
I love that.
To really get to
Yeah.
how do we, first of all, tune into ourselves and actually be able to make movement happen for ourselves in this, because we can say the words, but do we really understand the words?
Yeah, and I just have to interject because I think we should do this, to film a series, because I hear, as a Connection coach, I hear this all the time in my head when I just need to get over it and go with his venue. How'd you say that?
Her whole thing was, it was like, here's an opportunity for me basically to just submit to his ideas.
Yeah, and the rest of that is, and resent him for a very long, maybe the rest of my life.
The unspoken. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what the rest of the sentence is, the rest of the story. And I would love it if people could hear those fill in the blanks, because that's exactly what's going to happen. Even on her wedding day, she's going to be like, oh, I wish we were over there where I wanted to do it. And if they don't process through the emotion of that, they'll be stuck in that for a long time. But I also have to mention the twin sister protocol of that is I don't want to be vulnerable with you until I know that you're safe.
Yep.
But I'll never know if you're safe until I'm vulnerable. So it involves a risk. And will I jump in? And, of course, as connection coders, we say, just jump in. And then if you come to find out Tera's the cold-hearted jerk, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm not going to hang out with you. I'm not going to be open with you anymore. And I got that message quickly. It's still painful, but I'd rather get that message quickly. It used to take me years. I mean, who knows what, 3, 5, 7 years before I would be so wounded by the person that I'd realize and the whole relationship would unravel. And now I can figure that out in about 10 to 20 minutes. Again, I'm not going around burning people's houses down or keying their car, but I just realized, oh, this person isn't going to be safe for me.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting me know that. Now I can move on. I'm not going to be mean to you, but I can move on and find relationships that are actually safe, where there's kindness.
Yeah, which one does come first then? Does the vulnerability come first or does the safety come first? It's like the chicken and the egg situation.
Yeah.
And so for people that are listening, in our School of Connection, we've had individuals come through and maybe their spouse wasn't involved in the school with them. And so literally the foundation of the training is learning how to create safety.
Yep.
And then the training is a space for you to be vulnerable in spaces of safety. So you're kind of getting that you're able to be vulnerable somewhere. You're getting to train yourself what vulnerability feels like while learning how to create safety. Yeah. So then you go into your home, and when you can become safe for your spouse, you get to start that domino effect of creating that safety. And so Phyllis, I love that you're like, let's slow down. What does any of this even look like? What is vulnerability? What does that look like?
I love the way you just said all that, because I think about, all the years of the research and obviously it started in our own home, our own family. And, I began to realize, even with my family of origin or the friends group I had at that time, like what for me vulnerability looked like was to actually do it, like show up and say, I felt hurt by what you said. And it's so foreign. It's like you feel like you're stepping into potential war zone where there's, what is the hidden underground?
Like a mine.
Like a landmine. Yeah. And it is very fascinating because on one level you go, wait a minute. You feel all of that around the idea of telling someone that you felt hurt about what they said. And it's like, oh, absolutely. Because there's no telling what you're going to get back in return. And I think that it is amazing how pretty quickly you find out who is safe for you. And I think that in some ways, do you end up going through a season that's real hard, like lonely? It probably could feel that way because you may realize, wow, we've talked a lot about this actually in our relationship. Just
me and Phyllis.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whenever you are introduced to the connection code, sometimes you go, wow, I just realized that none of my friends were safe. And I'm spending all my time with these people who will actually say to me, I'm not interested. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to know that. I just want to have fun.
Yeah.
And then you kind of go, wow, now that I know there's more, you don't want to settle for just shallow friends who say, I just want to have fun.
Wow.
And it's just, I think that it's almost like you have to just step out. You have to be able and willing to start saying to the people around you what is really happening for you.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I do at times, when I use the language, like I'll say something like, oh, I feel guilt that I didn't return the phone call. And the person will go, oh, no, don't feel guilt.
Yeah.
And that doesn't necessarily mean I'm not safe with them. Like often to someone like that, I'll say, oh, I'm not trying. I wasn't trying to feel guilt. I just do. I feel some shame about being so slow in responding to people. It's just something I experience. And often at that moment, they don't even know what to say back,
Yeah.
you know? But it's like you kind of start to see what people, when you're that open, how people react. And sometimes they really are just too, like, I don't want that. I don't want that kind of relationship. You know, they start to pull away. Sometimes people won't say it. They just start pulling away from you.
Yeah.
But I think on the flip side, I am so amazed by people who, when you start being just that transparent, that they're dying to be that transparent. They've just never had the courage or the tools to know how to be that transparent.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, you've actually opened up a whole new level of friendships with the people that are in your life.
Yeah.
And that is where all of a sudden you go, wow, I feel really safe with you, that I can say anything and you're going to love me, that I can be transparent and vulnerable and you can love me.
Yeah, I love that. I'm sitting here thinking through of even the second part of that is like, what does the safety look like with the vulnerability? Because with that, it's okay for me to feel pain. If I share vulnerably with someone and they resist my energy and then I feel pain from it, okay, now I know, like, I'm still okay. And so I think that for me also, the more I've done this work, the more my threshold has shifted
Yeah, it's true.
as far as my willingness to be even in almost unsafe situations where it's like, I'm willing to try this. And if you step on my toe, I'm comfortable with my toes being stepped on. That doesn't mean we're best friends. We're going to live life together all of the time. But I need to be brave enough to take that first step. Because I was talking with a group of girls, a group of my girlfriends recently, and one of them was having a lot of fear about sharing some hurt with her husband. Tons of fear about it. And of course, I ooh her through it and talked to her a little bit about what it would look like if she did share. And of course, worst case scenario is that he steps all over her toes, you know, and he historically has stepped on her toes some. And so I reminded her that vulnerability doesn't come without fear. I want to make sure that safety doesn't mean you don't ever have fear. You know, there are times where I'm vulnerable with Wes. I still feel fear in sharing what I need to share. That doesn't mean I'm not ultimately safe with him. And so I just want to emphasize that vulnerability isn't in the absence of fear, that we can still feel fear, but it's whether or not, how hard is this person going to step on my toe? What is that? What has been my experience with them in the past? Okay, am I going to be brave enough to try again, or am I safe enough to try again where they're not going to hurt me?
Yeah, and that's such a huge part of our testimony, and we've shared this so many times, that to this day, there are times Phyllis says, oh, I feel some fear about sharing this, and then she processes through the fear, and then she shares it. And she has the bravery, the courage to go ahead and share it, even though she feels fear. Now, you could argue that we've been together 47 and a half years. I should be the safest person on the planet to her. And I can tell her that all day long. And be like, what, babe? That's absurd. You don't need to feel fear with me. Okay, so what do we do? She feels fear. Well, you stop that. You stop feeling fear. You know, that standard thing, which is so absurd. She feels fear. She feels hesitant. She's not terrified. It's not maximum 43 feet of fear. She feels, pick a number, 8 feet of fear. She feels hesitant. She feels apprehensive about sharing this. And this is all vice versa. The same happens for me with her. So, but we know that there's safety in the relationship, that we will, even if it's sticky or awkward or thick momentarily, we'll wrestle through that together pretty quickly. And there are a lot of relationships that should have been cued in early on, that this person's not safe for you. And the message of pain is there's a problem. And I don't know, the situation you're talking about, but, this young woman doesn't feel safe telling her partner what's authentic for her, what she actually desires, because there's not safety there. That should be a cue.
Well, what's interesting is if she would be devastated to hear you say what you just said, because she would say he is the safest person on the planet for me, right? it's the misunderstanding. We just don't understand what we're talking about today. Like she would totally say,
Yeah.
he's going to take care of me the rest of my life. Like I'm going into this marriage. Like I feel so safe with him. But then when I presented to her the idea that you've got to tell that you feel pain, like we had to process through her fear of telling him because she has been raised that you grin and bear it. I hate to use the word submit, but you know, submit to the male, like
Leadership.
whatever. And it's like, no. Tell him your pain. Like, and I said, you cannot go into this marriage. This is the moment. Like, do not walk down that aisle if in this moment you cannot be, because it only gets harder.
Yeah.
And there's only more and more pain in the sense of if you don't process this pain with him and you store that somewhere in your body and close that door, then you're going to be putting more and more stuff in that room as the years go by. And it's like, that is that vulnerability. But I think we don't understand it. I mean, I would say that for most people, if you did a vulnerability meter and reader, most people would be like, oh, you know, I am totally vulnerable. Someone said this to me recently where they're like, I am totally vulnerable. And I've been chewing on this for several days because I'm now actually going to need to go back to that person and go, I am really struggling with that, what you said, because for all these years, I didn't know this about you. And yet you're saying you're completely transparent. That doesn't match. Do we not even understand the terminology? Do we not understand what vulnerability means, transparency means? Like that we think, oh yeah, I'm totally vulnerable with this, with either your spouse or your group of friends. And then you like really in your quiet moments, when it's just you and your thoughts, are you telling someone everything that you're feeling and experiencing? And you know, it is very, in some ways, heavy at times where we are in rooms and in situations that most people aren't in on pretty regular basis where we hear things that just about break your heart. And you go, you've been struggling with this in silence by yourself for how long? Like you're in this community and no one knows this and you're carrying this by yourself. And that is so common. And yet that person would probably say, oh, I'm super vulnerable and transparent. You know what I mean? So I think we get it. We don't define it very well. But I think that's a lot of us because of how we've been raised. Like you just don't say it all. You just don't reveal it all.
Yeah. What we're saying is vulnerability is the ability to share authentically our experience.
Yeah, and the other side of it, I'm just thinking this through, might be, what would Phyllis be surprised to learn about me? And I don't know if there's anything. I mean, you might hear something that happened to me when I was 7 that you didn't know about previously. But as far as being surprised, I don't know if there is anything. And I think vice versa. Of course, how would I know? Maybe there's a long list of things I'd be... You just haven't told me yet.
But it's interesting. I would agree with the statement you just made about yourself. But I know recently, I think this is the quote of, you were saying, I'm surprised I'm learning you.
Yeah,
like
that's true.
More and more things I am being really authentic about, where I'm starting to see like, wow, I have for so long, I have stayed silent to meet everyone's needs or to keep everyone happy, or like I just do the thing. And I think we've kind of shared this. We were in New York City, I don't know, in the past year, and the people we were with said, hey, or maybe it was at the hotel, said, get a cab to go to that restaurant.
But did they use the term hail a cab?
Hail a cab.
Yeah, just hail a cab.
Just hail a cab to get to that restaurant. Don't use an Uber. It'll take twice as long.
And they said it's a lot more expensive. They just said hail a cab.
So
it
was the hotel that told me that, right? Because I'm an Uber girl. I know how to use that app, and I am comfortable with that. Hail a cab in New York City. And so they just said it to me like, no, 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 do that. So we walk outside the hotel, and I am all of a sudden drowning in fear. I don't know how to hail a cab in New York City. I see it in the movies. You step out, you almost get killed, but you step out, you put one leg out and one leg on the sidewalk, and you put your hand up and you hail a cab. I'm like,
And you have to whistle.
oh, and I can't whistle.
You don't know how to whistle.
So I'm almost my body is shutting down. Like I'm having a hard time putting one foot in front of the other. And Glenn notices, and I don't know if I even say that I'm just terrified.
No, we've been
picks
together
up
long
on
enough. I can just tell that something's happening for her. And I don't
Yeah.
know what it is. I have no idea.
Yeah.
And our history is such that early on, well, she just figured it was her responsibility. And from where I sit, she grew up in Europe. I grew up on a farm. So we didn't have any cabs on the farm. So I'm thinking, because when she told me this, I'm just like, oh, this is old hat for her. This is just automatic. You know, she was doing this when she was 3, which she was not, but I didn't know that. But then I can tell that something funky is happening with her. And thanks to the connection codes, I was able to go, babe, what? I feel like I'm missing something here. What's happening for you? And then she told me.
But it was really hard for me to tell you.
Right. Yeah.
Because we've done this dance for so long that I'm thinking I have to hail the cab, and it doesn't matter that I'm feeling fear. Just get over it and do it.
And shut up about it.
And shut up
Stop
about it. But my
complaining.
body was reacting in a, it was wild because I'm like, I can hardly put one foot in front of the other to even get to the curb.
Wow.
And they had told us, don't catch it right in front of the hotel. Walk down a block or walk to the end of the block and then do it. So I'm seeing it approaching, and I'm getting slower and slower getting to that, curb. And I'm thinking, I'm going to die. I'm going to die when I put my leg over there. But I'm thinking here, I know all these tools. And yet for me to be that vulnerable, it felt so vulnerable for me to turn to Glenn and say, can't do it. And Glenn, of course, picked up on all the body language and all the things. And then when he said he would do it, I was blown away. I could not believe that he could do it. And he did it so easily. And then we had a conversation about it, and he was shocked that it was so hard for me. And then he goes, has this been true for you our whole married life? And, as you all know, we've been married forever. And I'm like, yeah, but I just learned early on in our married life that I had to do it. I had no choice. And so I for sure didn't tell him. And so, for our community that's listening, I mean, your story may be mine, where you have learned to survive not being vulnerable.
Yeah, and I just want to expand that, because then the dynamic that set up was she went ahead and did the thing. She was completely overwhelmed. I'm oblivious to any of this. I don't know this is happening for her. Then she resents me that I wasn't there for her, and I just abandoned her. Again, I'm the dumb kid in the group. I don't have any idea this is happening for my partner. And so, again, you do that once, twice, 10, 50, 100, 1,000 times. Well, that's that emotional damn that's so big. So what we did in New York, which is just amazing to me, and is one of so many reasons I love the connection codes, I'm her hero. And she's watching me hail a cab, dun, dun, dun.
Woo.
And I had fun doing it. I'm just like, oh, I've seen this in movies. So, and I can whistle. Thank you very much. I'm a great whistler. So I hailed the cab. Now I'm her hero. And so now it's so bonding. And again, back to that, every emotion is an opportunity to connect or not. And she conveyed to me authentically what was happening for her. We connected through it. And it's just amazing. And, there may be somebody in the listening audience that's going, oh, that's just one little. No, that's just standard. If you don't process that, it doesn't matter what the fill in the blank is.
Right.
Because it just builds and builds and builds. And I get it. That's not a big life issue, but it's the experience of it.
Yeah. I love that it's not a big life issue, that example.
Right.
Because we experience those little moments all day, every day.
Yep.
And so if we don't feel safe in those little moments, then, when you're going through something big that you need someone else to carry with you, or that you need partnership in, or whatever it is, like, how do you do that? So those little micro moments, that is where you build the foundation of your safety. That's where it's built. So as you're starting to say, okay, I want safety in my relationship, where do I even begin? It's those little baby moments. It's when your partner conveys any emotion, including joy. Joy was not safe for me to share as a kid.
Wow.
And I got so comfortable. I still show up. I don't know. I'm a weird person because I really do share anything. Like I just talk about life all the time. I was so used to being made fun of that became the standard. Wow. And so I still continued to share. I'm just waiting for someone to make fun of me about it. So sometimes that will show up with Wes and I of, are you making fun of me? And he's like, Tera, I would never make fun of you, you know? But it is knowing that person's patterns of how can I be that safe person, reassuring them in those moments. So any emotion, joy, shame, fear, love, like if they are showing you anything, ooh them. That's the safety of it. Validate their experience, not resisting their energy. And then that's what can build to the bigger things.
I think it is the word build because like in that situation, yes, Glenn was my hero. He didn't shame me for not being able to hail a cab. He didn't make fun of me for not being able to hail a cab. But it's almost like it's the building. I'm like, okay, my body got to experience that. And now next time I'll be that much closer to being able to share that. And something happened recently where I'm so affected by words. And if I don't tell Glenn, he has no idea that phrase really affects me. It may be something at the beach. Do you remember the wording? Because it was like you said, was it in question form? So that bothers you?
I think I said that. I said, so that messes with you.
Messes with you.
Right.
And when he said, so that messes with you, I hear tons of judgment in that. That I'm bad, I'm weird, I'm wrong. And that is not what Glenn means at all. But man, I hear it like that. And so it's really important in those moments for me to say, that is a pain experience for me. I feel made fun of. I feel judged. I feel, you know, and
which you did do, by the way. Which
I did.
amazing.
I did tell him, but he was shocked at that. Like, has that always been true for you? But you just are telling me, like, you know, and I'm like, yeah, I am really working at being that authentic, like, vulnerable person. But it's been a lifetime of, I was taught it so well growing up. Vulnerability is disastrous. So just be strong.
Wow.
And I learned that vulnerability is weakness and strength is not vulnerability.
Yeah.
Like just be strong. And I thought that was what is good and right. And so, you know, to be 60 years old and go, it's not healthy. You can't even sustain that. Like it's a disaster for your body.
Yeah.
We weren't meant to hold all of that. And that vulnerability is not weakness.
Yeah.
And so I want to be known. And is it terrifying at times? Because for me it is, because I think if I am vulnerable, people will judge me, not like me, abandon me, reject me. And so it's like, that's a really high cost. It's for me realizing actually people do love me and I don't have to. And this is something even we've talked about just in the last week where I have this mentality that I will earn your love. Yeah. I will do all these things to earn your love instead of, oh, I can just be loved for being a human. You know, like that is not the family I was raised in. Like it was very much earn it. And I would say I never did earn it in my family of origin. Like it just never, I could never have done enough to have earned, you know, the love of my family. And so it's just for many of us, quite the journey to be, and I think, I don't know, Tera, if you just said it a minute ago or if Glenn said it, but about, to me, vulnerability, yes, the other person oohing is fantastic. The other person's response is fantastic as far as like Glenn hailing the cab. But so much of it is my own journey of realizing I am allowed to be vulnerable. I'm allowed to be authentic.
Wow.
I deserve that. I deserve to be authentic. And so I don't even, like, I am so in this part of my story of just be vulnerable, be authentic, like that I'm not even looking necessarily for the safety part of it. Like it's so big for me just to be vulnerable and authentic. And so I think just for our community, if you're more like me, you may realize that you're just really at that first step of learning that you're worthy of being authentic and you're worthy of being vulnerable and saying ow when it hurts and saying fear when you feel fear, like anger when you feel anger, and give yourself permission for that. That may be where you are in this journey.
Yeah.
And start there.
And I have to throw that in. Just, we know that everyone has this right because we're born this way. There's not a 6-month-old on the planet, I hope, that the parents or the adults, the caregivers, whoever say, no, you're not allowed to convey needs. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Well, what about when they're 8 months old, 10, 12? What about when they're a year and a half? Well, there's no birthday where we say, happy birthday, buddy, you're 4 now. We don't want to hear your authentic, vulnerable self anymore. And unfortunately, we do give that message verbally, non-verbally, intentionally, unintentionally, such as stop your crying or I'll give you something to cry about. But what a bizarre thing to actually say to any human at any age. You're 10 now. You're 12, 15, 20, 25. No more authenticity. No, nobody would say that. Again, we end up communicating it, and we don't realize it often. But that's not ever supposed to happen. You're supposed to be able to be your authentic self. And you kind of mentioned it before. It's amazing to me, and I'm an odd one. I think I have been much of my life, certainly since we met, I think. It's fair. You don't have to agree
No,
too
I'll
quickly.
agree with that.
Okay. You could ooh me there.
Ooh. Ooh.
But I didn't know, and I think I'm just as odd today as I've ever been. Now it just doesn't, because you said something about, well, what did you call it earlier? It was clever the way you said it. Did you say tolerance or as raised?
Like my threshold, my tolerance.
Threshold. Yeah. And it's fascinating to me to watch myself as a case study, because the last number of years, not 20 by any means, but the last, I don't know what, 3 or 4, 5, 6 years, I just kind of don't care anymore. And I'm almost experiencing it as a gift. If someone doesn't like me, thank you for letting me know. I just assume they'll hand me a note card that says, I don't like you. Oh, okay. Thank you for letting me know. Because now I know. Because otherwise I'm going to spend all of this time and energy and effort, and then I'm really going to be wounded. Whatever, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years later, when I found out, all this time they didn't even like me. And I always think of Mrs. Doubtfire, when you know Mrs. Doubtfire. Yes. I remember Miranda at the end in the restaurant, when she realizes that Mrs. Doubtfire is actually her ex-husband. And she goes, the whole time. Then she says it like 10 different, the whole time, And for me and then I've had so many experiences like that where I realize, this whole time, they haven't liked me. I thought we were friends. Yeah. And then I'm like, the whole time. So I think all of this sharing, this vulnerability that I've done with them over the last, pick a number, 4 years, and they never liked me. And they were judging me the whole time. And my friend group revolutionized somewhere 12 or so years ago. And we actually say this to clients at times, because they'll, we ask them, we say, so who are your safe people? Who are your close, tight teammates? And, people talk about it, and then they start describing it. It's like, well, I can't be open with them, and I can't be honest, and I can't be, authentic, I can't be vulnerable. And we're like, you may need some new friends, or at least revolutionize the friendships you have, but you may need new friends. And I always tell people, I'm like, well, Dallas is a big city. Los Angeles is a big city. There's a lot of people out there. It's not only just these 7 people, and don't be mean to them, but you may need some new friends. And that changed my whole existence.
Yeah, like thinking about it from the friendship perspective, I lost the greatest friend of my life up to that point out of a moment of being vulnerable, out of a moment of her finding out something about me that I had, a belief that I had that she was unaware of. And I lost her in that. And it was still to this day, like one of the most painful experiences that I had.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, moving here and making new friends, like my closest, most beloved, she called me this morning and processed some fear that she had. Very first lunch we had, I was like, listen, this is who I am. I laid it all out on the table for her. This is what I believe in. I'm open to hearing your stuff. I'm not going to judge you for it, but I just need you to know now, this is me. And we are now extremely close. And so vulnerability.
Well, but I have to ask, so do you match up perfectly on everything?
No, probably no. In fact, this week she said something. I was like, "Okay, girl,"
Right.
you know.
And the point is, you don't have to.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can have friendship and be present and safe, which allows the vulnerability with each other. Doesn't mean that you're clones.
Right.
I experience it very differently than you. You experience it very differently than me. Okay, I hear you, and I don't get it. I don't know how you feel joy about that. I don't know how you experience pain with that. I don't know how you feel fear of that, and vice versa. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And did we talk about The Greatest Showman, the movie?
No, not on this episode.
Well, but the whole idea, and I love the movie, but it would be such a dream if it was a pointless movie. That because the whole point of the movie is let's be kind to each other.
Yeah.
And if people watch the movie and be like, "What? Why'd they make that movie?" Well, of course, this is how we live, but unfortunately, we don't.
Yeah. Well, and so vulnerability comes at risk. You know, it does. It comes at risk. So processing that fear of sharing, one, saying your fear out loud first, literally changes your brain chemistry where it reduces the intensity of the fear. So if you know, okay, I'm going into a situation, I'm going to be vulnerable, literally say fear. I have fear about this. Scientifically, that will help. But there is risk there. There is. But on the flip side of that, when you build those relationships, when you can be vulnerable, when you can show up authentically with someone and be met there, that is the depth of life. Like that is the most beautiful part of connection. And we were talking about it with friendships, but with our spouses, that's really, we live every single day with this person. And so if you're looking in the mirror and you're thinking to yourself, one, can I be vulnerable with my partner? And am I safe for them to be vulnerable? Because you can't ask just one of those questions.
Right.
You need both of those questions for your relationship to work. Because safety breeds vulnerability. Vulnerability will then breed safety. You can't have one without the other. And so if you're looking at yourself and answering no to either one of those questions, that's a clue in. That is a clue into yourself. We need extra support.
Yeah.
We do. Whether that's a coach or that's going through the School of Connection together so you can practice using these tools with each other. That's what we found to be most shocking about our school is people jump in and they're like, whoa, I can be authentic here?
Yeah.
What? I had no idea that I could be authentic here. I've never been in a situation that I could be authentic in. And it's shocking to their nervous system because they settle in.
Which, again, is so offensive.
Yeah.
That is surprising.
That it's surprising. Yeah.
It's like, wait, what? This is the human condition.
Yeah.
This was just supposed to be normal. It's like, oh, some more of this. This is cool. But instead, I mean, exactly as you say, people are just like, what?
Yeah.
Well,
And they've
in
never
our,
experienced it
I would say
before.
in our School of Connection, you get so many opportunities to be vulnerable that you begin to realize, oh, it's safe to be vulnerable.
I can do
and
this.
I can do this. And I like the feeling of doing this. And I no longer want to go back to living inauthentically.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that is so powerful because for many of us, I think we don't even know what it feels like.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, we've created a whole life, even unintentionally, where we don't really share.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know I'm always the macro guy, but that's the reason everyone needs to, on the whole planet, needs to go through the School of Connection so that we can do this together. And, of course, we are hearing from, Connection Codes pockets all over the world where they have a group of 10, they have a group of 7, they have a group of 15 people. They go through the master classes together, and they're like, oh, we all speak the same language now. There's so much, certainly beauty, but there's safety and connection in that because it's tough to do. I mean, I still think it's a good and right thing to do, but it's tough to do when you're constantly told, what? No, don't feel fear. Oh, don't feel guilt. Well, who's trying to feel fear and guilt and pain? I've never met that person. But when you constantly have that resistance, and it's just really cool. And of course, we're surrounded by connection coders, our team meetings. It's just so amazing. Of course, we do the wheel together, but even in conversation, it's just so smooth where somebody like, I feel some guilt. I missed on that. And we all get it. And we don't resist the energy. We're like, what? No, you don't need to feel guilt on that. Well, apparently they do need to feel guilt on that because they felt guilt. Their psyche's tapping them on the shoulder. I don't want them drowning in guilt for 3 days, but they just get a little clue that, you probably missed that. That was a mistake. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we just get better and better at versions of ourselves.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the core emotion.
Okay,
wheel.
yes. So
There is that.
as you're starting this journey, as you're trying to find out, how do I even tiptoe into vulnerability? How do I even begin to create safety? Dr. Glenn and Phyllis created the simplest tool to actually start these conversations in your home for both of those things. It is the door that opened up true vulnerability from Wes to me. I think that was one of the most true moments of vulnerability that first time we did the core emotion wheel together, where he was able to share with me and I was able to create safety for him. And so we are going to show you what that looks like, and you can go to the link in the show notes to get your own for free. So who's going to do the wheel today?
Let's see. So for me, tons of joy this past weekend, just being with our middle daughter, her husband, their 3 kids. We got to go to Dollywood, which is just a really cool, fun, it's just a goof off, just the roller coasters and slides and water parks where you were shocked to find out you get wet. Who knew? I wonder why they call it a water park. It's just a lot of joy in that. It was sad just seeing behaviors and interactions with people. We're stuck forever with the connection codes because we see these interactions, parents fussing at kids and not being able to be present and safe. And that's just really heavy, really sad, because I want to go over to him and say, okay, we can change this dynamic. And let's see, there was a little bit of fear, just a couple of the ride situations. There's fear in that, which gets us to tune in and pay attention. I did a bunch of sessions, so I felt some guilt just not being with everybody. I didn't feel shame in that. I guess I did feel a little bit of shame just if I was present enough. Was I being who I needed to be for them, with them. There was lonely a couple times. It rained like crazy, and I'm trying to get my walk in every day, and it rained at monsoon so much that it was just frustrating. There's sadness in that too, but loneliness, like, how am I going to do this thing by myself? Hurt. I guess I did feel hurt just seeing some interactions, especially with kids, where a 4, 5, 6-year-old little kid is just having this horrible interaction with the parents. I just feel that sharp stabbing pain, like, oh, this is so bad. And, so sad, so unfortunate. And there's anger in that too. I just can't wait. It sounds a little silly, but I can't wait until all 8 billion of us get this so that we can walk around. And even like literally in that moment, this sounds really silly, but it's very visionary, to be able to say to somebody, hey, just ooh her. Like, that'd be so cool if we could do that with total strangers. And then they would know what it meant. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot. Thanks, buddy. And that we're all just teaming together as humanity, that we could help each other on that level. And, I'm just really driven. The core level anger just drives me that we can do this. We can actually help each other live better. I think that's the whole wheel.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. And so if you're listening and you're on your own journey, you relate to what Phyllis is saying today about needing to even give yourself permission to be vulnerable, refining that for yourself. Start out by journaling this wheel. Start out just by saying it out loud to yourself. And then who is that next person that you feel safest with to share? You can build up to being able to do it with your spouse or your mom or your kids. Right. It's not something you have to jump into the deep end immediately, because creating safety within yourself comes first. And then in the process, practice being safe for others. Ooh, the mom, like, ooh, yeah, that's super. That's a lot. I see you. Ooh, your spouse. You don't have to understand them. You just have to ooh them. It's not a pass for them to be rude or hateful or unkind, but when they're experiencing an emotion, every emotion is an opportunity to connect or not. And so being able to validate their experience. And if you are looking and you're like, okay, I want to practice this vulnerability thing. I need space to do this. Well, you're in luck because we've created the School of Connection specifically for someone like you, for someone to come in and learn how to connect with yourself, practice with other people that you can be safe with. My favorite thing about the cohort actually is when someone hurts someone else in the cohort and they get to practice conflict with each other because that's what we actually deal with everyday life. They get to practice in a safe environment how to reconnect with each other. And so it really is a beautiful practice ground to take these tools into your own body and then out to those around you. So there's a link below, School of Connection, join the wait list. And thank you for showing up. Thank you for being here each week. We want to create a world of safety for people. That is our foundational mission, for people to feel safe with each other. And you are a part of that journey. So thank you. And we do all of this because
you need this.
You deserve this. So let's do this.